Hey, Eradicators here. Today we're looking at Dawn of War Onslaught, a Warhammer 40,000 board game. This game is intended for ages 12 and up, takes 45 minutes to an hour to play, and is intended for 1 to 4 people. It of course includes unit cards, a board, dice, and everything else you need to play the game, as well as 9 miniatures. The miniatures are the reason this board game has been so popular, because the miniatures are the Space Marines Honored of the Chapter, which was the unique sprue to the Indomitus set, which includes 3 Eradicators, 3 Bladeguard Veterans, the Bladeguard Ancient, a Judiciar, and a Chaplain. The Judiciar is only available on the sprue. You can, of course, buy the Chaplain separately, I believe. You may be able to buy the Bladeguard Ancient separately. He may be limited to this box, I'm not entirely sure. But the Eradicators and Bladeguard Veterans are also available separately. They do have a few more options in their separate kit, but they are all printed up on one sprue. Now, well, the main reason this is popular is because of that sprue, and the reason that sprue is what makes this popular is this board game is $49.99. You may be able to get it a little cheaper. I was able to get this with a coupon, so it was about $40. But the sprue itself, bought direct from Games Workshop, is $170. So it is great value. It's a little depressing, actually, to think about how great the value is because of how much they sell that sprue for. But that, I think, is perhaps a topic for another day. If you bought the Indomitus set, you will already have this sprue, but maybe you got rid of it. It is the same sprue, just done up in red plastic. These are push-fit connections. So I've done a video on the Eradicators before. These won't have quite the same options, but they are a standard Eradicator set. You could probably kit bash one of the guns to be slightly different to show the, I believe it's the multi-melta, the slightly advanced gun for those models. The Bladeguard Veterans will also have a bit less in terms of options than the actual kit that you can buy separately. But you do get 3 additional characters. That's the Bladeguard Ancient, Chaplain, and the Judiciar. The Judiciar is only available on the sprue, as of filming at least. Hopefully they change that at some point. It is a rather popular miniature. I mean, here's a look at that sprue. The only difference for this sprue versus the Indomitus sprue is that this one is in red plastic. The Indomitus sprue is in the standard gray plastic. But other than that, that's the only difference. It, of course, comes with bases as well. And some cards, very similar to the cards from GW for their models. I'm sorry, I think I said Blood Angels. This is Blood Ravens, apparently. Or at least the Chaplain is a Blood Raven. This one was in their loose. They are dual-sided, so you do get the Judiciar. They are named in this box, of course, because it is it's like board game, so they're going to give them characters and stuff. And that's A-okay. You, of course, get some dice, which is in paper packaging. I'm surprised. Just some very basic dice. We don't need to look closer at those. You get some board game cards for Dawn of War Onslaught. These are enemy cards. You do have some room in here to put things back in as well. We'll take a quick look at those. I have no idea how the board game is. As you can see, I'm opening it as we speak, so I can't say anything to how the board game itself is. But if you were interested in any of the characters, or even the Bladeguard Veterans and Eradicators, this would be a good set to pick up. You get some action cards for the special actions, general actions, probably randomly rolled enemies, which are apparently orcs. I believe all the orcs are done through tokens, which there is room in the box to store. Minor threats as opposed to major threats. Some horde actions, relics, and then probably deployment sectors to draw. And then some nice quick action cards for the attack sequence. Looks like it is pretty different from 40k, even though some of the things are the same. For the attack, you check the number of dice shown on the weapon, reduced by the tough value of the adversary being attacked, down to a minimum of 1. That's interesting. if it has the knockback, it knocks the enemy back. If not possible, then you get an extra die, and then you roll the dice. If one or more roll the target weapon's target value, the adversary is damaged. Interesting. And then you have objectives. You have the assault phase and the defense phase. If the boss has not spawned, enemies can interact with things, and some basic rules there. And there is room, as I said, to slide those in there. I'm not sure why this card was out of the box. And it does seem that they have some different names. I don't know how you determine who's what. Yes, so that is a little odd. I guess it's so that you can take them as heroes, named character versions, which means they don't get to lead, at least. Oh, no, they do. Never mind. Some slightly different abilities, I think, from the standard. Maybe not. Cut that out. Yeah, so this card is actually for named versions of the Chaplain and the Judiciar, because you have their actual cards here. And you have an injured version and a regular version. We'll look a little closer at those in a second. You have your enemy cards, which makes sense considering the rules we just read. Nob, Mega Nob, Boy, Gretchen, a Commando, a Mech, additional Nob. So you have a G and an A. I guess that's which group they're in. A Luda, a Berna, you get a War Boss, a Big Mech, and a Weird Boy. It would have been hilariously amazing value if they had included all these miniatures in there as well. It's probably smarter that they didn't, but it would have been very funny. So underneath this little plastic insert, you get some additional things. You get the instruction book. Basically tells you what's what. Nice and straightforward. You get 9 hero miniatures. You get enemy tokens. You get some lore for the background of the universe. Instructions on how to build. They're pretty straightforward. I do wish the Judiciar had a different head. Same for the Chaplain, actually. I'll probably head swap that. I don't like the unhelmeted versions, personally. Just preference on my part. And I suspect I'll probably have to head swap this Eradicator as well. I might leave him without it. That might be a good way to differentiate this squad as who has the multi-melta, is to give it to the guy without the full helmet. That might be a good way to do it. They are a slightly different version than the full kit. The full kit has some tubing that goes in there. I'll link the video in the description below if you'd like to check that out. Some lore on Space Marines, and the Blood Ravens, lore on the Orcs, how to set up the game, how to move, attack, and then the assault phase, defense phase, enemy behavior. This can be played single player, and then of course adds for the new starter set, horde mode, and then a brief reference on the back. That's all pretty nice stuff for board games to have. And then of course you have your last pack here, which has some cardboard inserts, and they're pretty tightly. You have your board, which will unfold, and then you also have all your, it's empty, all your tokens. So all your enemies will just be simple tokens. You could, of course, use miniatures if you had them, but they are not included, and they are double-sided, and I just popped some of those out. So some pretty nice tokens there. I'll pop those out later. We'll take a quick look at the other cards. So you have a full heal version. So pretty simple game mode. You don't have to deal with strength or toughness. Just melee, ranged, objectives, and tough, and then its own toughness, as well as an ability. So the Chaplain gets to attack and move in either order. You get a service record here for number of games won while not injured, highest horde turn completed, a number of wounds there on the bottom as well, and then some reduced points there on the injured side. And those are the same. I mean, obviously different per hero, but some differences But other than that, I mean, all the markings and stuff are the same. It looks like the Bladeguard Veterans have a bit more health than the heroes and the Eradicators, which makes sense. And they all have injured versions as well. So it could be a good game. I don't know. I bought it mainly for the miniatures, but thought let's take a quick look at the game while we have it. So pretty small game board. You know, it folds up relatively small. Not the largest, does need to go underneath. Plenty of room up top for you to store the miniatures as well in the top section here. And I think overall, it's probably a decent game, but I suspect most people picking it up will pick it up for the miniatures. That seems to be, that is what I would expect. You could run them as heroes from this, as Blood Ravens specifically. If you're not running them as Blood Ravens, then you wouldn't be able to include them based off of current 10th edition rules, at least as of filming this. So that's all I have for today. I will build all the miniatures and upload it as an Honored of the Chapter review, because they are the same miniatures as that, and that way people can find it. So keep an eye out for that at some point. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.